My name is Josh Zirkle. I'm in charge of community here at Evernote. I'd like to welcome you to a productive and stress-free holiday season with Evernote. We have an awesome agenda planned for you tonight. How many of you are excited to be here? Yes, I think we can do better than that. How many of you are excited to be here tonight? All right. So we have an action-packed agenda. We have 4 speakers for you tonight and a panel discussion with all of them at the end. You will learn tonight about how to use Evernote to wind your way into a productive 2017, how to wind down this year, how to travel without stress throughout the holiday season, and so much more. We have a great panel of speakers for you tonight. I'm looking forward to all of them sharing information with you. Without further ado, if you are on the socials tonight, and I hope you are, feel free to use @Evernote and the hashtag Evernote Community. I encourage you to take notes, share your findings with the people in your community, take pictures of tonight's event, and tell the world what you are up to. So again, we'll be talking about wrapping up end-of-year projects both at home and at work, getting organized for the holidays, both holiday-related activities and holiday travel, planning for trips, visitors, and guests. If you're like many people, you have a lot of that going on at the end of the year. Planning for next year, and finally, ways that you can get involved with us here at Evernote. Before we do, let's take a few minutes to get to know the people who are with you. So at each of your tables is a piece of paper. If you are not at a table, go peek over the shoulders of people who are at tables. Take a few minutes to introduce yourself, where you're coming from around the Bay Area, and your answer to the question at your table. We'll give you 10 minutes to have a little chat with each other, and then we'll come back. Okay. So do you now know the people at your tables a little bit better? Not sitting next to strangers anymore, sitting next to new friends who you only recently met. Yes. So, are we ready to hear some awesome Evernote tips? Yes? Good, because that is what is coming for you now. So, the people I'm about to invite up are Evernote certified consultants. How many of you are familiar with what an Evernote certified consultant is? A handful of you. Okay, so this is a very good learning opportunity. So Evernote certified consultants are people who go through comprehensive training run by us. They're often business consultants, productivity consultants, people who work in IT or in lots of different industries who want to train other people how to bring Evernote into their work and in their lives. And they go through a very comprehensive training course. They learn all about how to use Evernote, but more importantly, how to bring it to people that want to learn how to use it themselves. So both of the people I'm about to introduce have gone through this pretty rigorous yet fun training and are here to help teach us all sorts of ways to use Evernote in the holiday season. So without further ado, let's bring them up. So will our 2 speakers please stand? Katie Santos is an avid and energetic multitasker. Hello, Katie. She's a serial entrepreneur and internationally recognized movement teacher and presenter for Pilates and fitness organizations. She consults for software companies who have a passion for education and a commitment to optimizing client success. Through her work, she has leveraged valuable insights in business management and has demonstrated an acumen for coaching clients in matters of sales, digital marketing, finance, and HR. And of course, she is an Evernote certified consultant. Welcome, Katie. Round of applause for Katie. Frank Gerber is an investor and business builder with a substantial background in private investments, business valuation, leadership transitions, operational improvement, and board-level advising. He's passionate about operational excellence, collaborative tools, and efficiency, near and dear to our hearts here at Evernote. Through his consulting practice, Blue Shift Consulting, Frank has implemented Evernote in a variety of personal and business applications, including property management, board collaboration, VC deal screening and tracking, equipment maintenance and management, yacht brokerage, wine inventory management, a personal favorite of mine, and in collaboration with his wife, keeping up with their 2 children. Please welcome Katie and Frank. Katie, the floor is yours. There you go.
Can you hear me? Yes. Thanks, Frank. We're helping each other, even though, that's good. How are you tonight? Good? Thank you very much for coming. So what do you want 2017 to look like? Is it a place that you have success? Is it a place where, what does that mean to you, success? There's lots of ways to define success and lots of ways to get there. And organization, I feel, is a really important component of that. So I use Evernote. You heard I do lots of different things, and I have to keep on top of my organization. Depending on what you do for work, you might need information maybe to spark your creativity, to help you leverage your products, to share your ideas with others, maybe even discover what your competition is up to. But I want to share with you a couple of tools to do that. And the first place I want to take you is on a journey to clear your mind. So I call this a mind clear. In GTD, David Allen calls it a brain dump. But this end of the year time when things are slowing down a little bit for most businesses, unless you're in retail. Anybody in retail? Ooh, yeah, well, you don't slow down so much. January maybe. But what we'll do is take a time where you've got maybe an hour or two and open Evernote, or even take a ruled notebook and start to just write down all the tasks that you know you have coming down the pike. The objective is to clear your mind out so those creative thoughts can come in. What you want to do with this note, you'll see here that I've opened this just random note, and I am putting in tasks, and I'm hitting enter and just going to the next one. The key with this is not to think about prioritizing them, not to think about this is a work item, this is a home item, this is a wild dream that I have that I'd like to maybe have happen in a year or two. Just let this free flow of ideas come out. Let's say that you get a number of these in your note, and you walk away and you think, oh, you know, I don't have my computer, I don't have my devices, but I'd like to just write a few more things down. So what I've done here is take a photo of what I've written in, I saw lots of you guys have these, Evernote Moleskine notebook, or even a simple ruled note. This is searchable when you're in premium and business. The word contractor here will be found when you search in Evernote. So we close our note, we walk away. The following week, we decide we've got some more time to separate these tasks out. So then what I do is create 3 different baskets, a work basket, a home basket, and a someday maybe or a dreams basket. So the work items, we're going to change, we're going to treat a little differently. I'm going to create 3 notes around those work items. One is to do work delegate. One is to do work not urgent. And the other is not in here. But the other would be to do work urgent. So each of those 3 notes I'm going to treat a little differently. I'll open my main note that I've done my original mind clear on, and then 1 or 2 of my work notes, the urgent and not urgent. And I start to populate those notes. And yes, you're touching things a couple of times, but it gives you a chance then to start to prioritize them. Once I'm done with that, the not urgent note, I'm going to set a reminder to come back to me once a week. So here I am in my not urgent note, and I am not a Mac person, so bear with me. Oh, now I've gone. This is present, which is a really awesome thing. And here we are. I'm going to set a reminder. I'm going to add a date. So a week from now, since this is not an urgent thing, I'm going to set this to the 19th. And we have a reminder that shows up on the 19th. I'm going to get an email on that day to say, hey, go back into that to-do work or to-do note that's not urgent. So the other one, I've got a delegate note. So you'll see here also that I have these check boxes. How do I get those check boxes? When I'm populating this note, if I highlight this and I go up to checkbox, that gives me a little checkbox next to each entry that I have. So as I do those tasks, I check them off and I know they're done. But I'm delegating this note. I want my assistant, Denise, to share this note with me. Evernote has grabbed my contacts, if I'd allowed it to, and as I start to type Denise's name, I don't know what's going to come up here since it's a demo account, but let's pretend that Denise's contact information is loaded in here. You can see I can grab my Google contacts. I can add a message for Denise. Please report back at EOD of Friday. Is it the 14th this Friday? Am I right? And then I share this note with her. So now, again, I have a reminder on here for the 14th. It comes back to me, so I know to reach out to the note, open it up, and see, oh, look, Denise has done 2 of the 4 things that I have on here. Okay? The other note I'm going to do is a to-do home. I'll show you how I get this checklist on here. I've taken those items from my main note. I add the checklist. And not that home is not as important as work, but it's certainly not as urgent often. So I'm going to set this reminder for once a week. So again, to review, I have 3 notebooks in work: urgent, not urgent, delegate. Urgent has 1 week. 1 day. Not urgent has 1 week. And the delegate, I decide 2 or 3 days. So then I have my someday maybe note. Talk to your family about that trip to Africa, which is probably not going to happen in 2018 or even 2019. But as I have this in here, I'm going to set a reminder for this to come back to me quarterly. And maybe these dream goals or someday maybes get a little more realistic the closer you get to them. Once I visit this note and we've really had a discussion in our family about 2018 going to Africa, this might become a reality. So maybe this note then gets shared with my family. I can begin to add relevant information from web clipping. So if I go add a web clipper to my browser and I find there's a great South African tour company that I would like to maybe see about getting involved with, I can web clip that, send it directly into this someday maybe notebook, and all the information for planning that trip is in there. Next up, let's focus on work a little bit. So we've created a couple of templates. Frank has some great travel templates and local Bay Area templates that we're going to share with you, as are we these 2 systems audit and maintenance templates that's here. So I don't know about you, but I called a business recently and the greeting was, "Hi, this is Jackie. I'm gone the 4th of July. Please leave a message. I'll get back to you when I'm done." It's October. Okay? So the end of the year is a really good time to start to look back at your business and look at the systems that are in your business. So this template here, I've found 9 relevant to most businesses system checks that you can do for your business. So what am I going to do with this note? I open it up. It's a template. Perhaps you'll decide that there's maybe some information in here that you don't need. For instance, you might not have an on-hold message. You can dispense with this on-hold message and put something else in. If you want to add some systems checks that I haven't thought of, let me know what they are, because I'll add them in the next presentation. But what we'll do with this template note is I'll go up and copy it, and Frank might have to bail me out because I need to know how to do that in here. Ooh, wait, I bet I can figure it out. I am not a Mac girl. I'm going to right click. Nope. Do I? 2 fingers. There we go. Thank you. And duplicate note, which is right there. So now I have an original copy of the template, but now I can take this duplicate note, systems audit, copy, and I can add and work with this note. And I might want to retitle it. So what I want to do is systems audit for quarter 2016. So now I start to see if I can have time now to do these tasks. So an outgoing voicemail message, Listen to all your outgoing messages in each department that you have in your company. Include company cell phones that you've issued to your staff, and of course the owners if you can get hold of them or if you're one of them. And then go through the process here, checked it's okay, checked we need to fix, any findings that you had about it. If it needs changing, who do you delegate to, the date completed, and any further actions. Then the on hold messages, right? So as we get to the holidays, maybe there's some information that you find you're repetitively giving your customers. We're going to be closed the week of Thanksgiving, or we're open the day after Christmas, even though it's a Monday. Put that on your outgoing voicemail message and save yourself the time of having to be redundant and ask those or answer those questions. Phone routing checks. This is a big one. Dial 7 to get to HR. Does it actually take you to HR? Check. Maybe it doesn't. Once you get to HR, what happens? If there's no one there to answer the phone, does it go back to the operator? Is there a chance for a voicemail message? Check these things out. You know, as we go through the larger businesses, go through the year, you add phone routing stations, and you need to look at them toward the end of the year. Email signature audit. So here's something I learned the other day. Google doesn't like a lot of links in your email signature. And oftentimes, other servers will bounce your emails back as if you were spam, which of course you're not. So we look at our email signatures, make sure, again, maybe we need some relevant information about our holidays. We're closed the week of Thanksgiving. We're open the 26th, whatever it might be. But check those links, A, for are they broken, and B, are there more than 2? Because I suggest that 2 might be the border. Vacation responders. I like to template a lot of stuff. So if my vacation responders have a certain template, I'll be back in the office whether I'm going to check my email or not while I'm gone, perhaps. And also some links in there, because you can put those in the body of the email. And maybe answers to common questions, facts, again, that you might be answering on a daily basis, that maybe you can take care of these in an email. Support lines, don't we love those? Call in. Have 3 scenarios of different support processes that your clients might go through. See what happens on the other end of that support process. Is the support person kind, friendly? Can you get them riled up? Maybe give it a try. Do the same for your website support chats. Is the chat really there? There's a very large software company that I am friends with, one of the CEOs, and I said, guess what? That chat thing, I filled it out I don't know how many times, and I've never gotten an answer back. He goes, oh, I need to check that. Security systems, make sure that video security is recording as it should. Check your camera angles for coverage. Check lighting. Maybe the lights are out on that camera that doesn't have a night vision. Purge any codes and consider a reissue for everybody that's on staff now. So we do that every year at our studio, even though it's a small movement studio. We purge all our codes and reissue them every year. Web purchase tests. How many of you have filled out a form all the way through and forgotten the zip code and you hit submit and everything's gone? Yeah. So check that. Maybe there's some tweaks that you can make in all of those web purchase forms that will make it a little easier on the customer that maybe has forgotten a number or 2. So again, this is one of the audit templates, or this is one of the templates that you'll get toward the end of the night or maybe over social. And I encourage you to go to the Evernote blog almost every single day. I don't know who generates that content, but it's great content. It comes to the top of my Facebook feed, so I'm always seeing what's happening at Evernote. And I thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, I'm going to talk to you tonight about 2 different areas. One is using Evernote for travel, and the other is for planning for visitors and activities. jumping right in, before I jump in, I want to make a quick organizational note. If you can see over here on the sidebar, I'm actually going to go to the notebooks view here. And if you can see here, whoops. Well, if you can see over here in the sidebar, I've listed 3 different notebooks. I have a notebook for planning, I have a notebook for my travel documents and confirmations, and I have a notebook for my itineraries. I've listed these notebooks over here, and I've prefaced each one of them with the letters A, B, and C. And the reason I organize them that way is by default, Evernote will list your notebooks in alphabetical order. I wanted these to appear in a natural workflow in a specific order, so I just prefaced them with the letter A, B, C. You can use 1, 2, 3, whatever you like. And I've also organized those notebooks into what's called a stack. And a stack is simply just a collection of notebooks. And it's really easy to create a stack. You can simply create 2 notebooks, drag one on top of the other, and you have a stack, and then you can add notebooks to that. So I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to create a new notebook, and I'm going to call this one Receipts. I'm going to make this private. I can always share it later. My notebooks. Click out of what? Thank you. So now I have my receipts notebook that I just created. I'm just going to drag and drop it, and it appears right here in my travel stack. There's a little chevron here too on the side list view. I can expand and contract. So now that we've got the organization set up, let's dive in and start planning a trip. I'm going to switch over to Safari real quick. And I've done a web search on Kauai. There's some information here on the Nepali coast. This might be something that I want to do on my trip. And so I'm going to use the Evernote web clipper that Katie mentioned earlier. It's available for Safari, Firefox, Chrome. And I'm going to simply save this web page directly into, you can choose the folder. I'm going to save it into my planning folder. And you can clip web pages right into Evernote. I'm going to switch back to Evernote here, and in this planning folder, once this syncs, you'll see the web page that we just viewed, although something happened in the clip here. Live demos never go quite as smoothly as you hope. Let's try it one more time. So I can clip all of this content directly into Evernote for future reference. And the other great thing about this is you can share all these notebooks. My wife and I are planning a trip right now, so she can clip information into the notebook that's shared, and I can see what she's been looking at, and we can share information in notes. So I've gathered a bunch of information about some restaurants and activities and things that I want to do on this vacation. So once I've gathered all my information in the planning notebook, I move down to the next notebook where I start to collect my travel documents. So in here, I keep a lot of different information. I have information here, for example, on any travel insurance. I have all my frequent flyer miles, my frequent flyer numbers, and car rental and hotel information. I also have some travel vouchers in here. Keep a copy of my passport. This is particularly useful. Well, not my passport. But this is particularly useful if you're on a plane and you're flying overseas. You need to fill out the customs form. You know, your passport is in the bag in the overhead bin, and you're on the window seat. You don't want to get up and have to get it. You can pull up your phone, access the Evernote app, pull up your passport, get all the information you need to fill out the form, copy of the driver's license, And I also have information in here. I have a credit card with a lot of travel benefits, and I never remember what those travel benefits are. I've copied them right into Evernote so I can remind myself to take advantage of all these benefits that the credit card provides. I also have in here my flight information, my rental car information, and my hotel information. And you'll notice here that this information has been, you can see the email header in here. And the reason is I've forwarded this information from, directly from my email into Evernote. So when you sign up for Evernote, you get an Evernote email address. I simply copy that address one time, create a contact in my contacts database called Evernote. So when I receive my flight confirmation, I just forward it to Evernote, and it goes right into Evernote. I can put it in my travel documents, and I have it there for quick reference. So we've done our planning, we've made our reservations, we have all our travel documents. Now it's time to go on the trip. This next level, I'm starting to geek out a little bit, so bear with me. Here, I've just laid out a day-by-day itinerary for the trip. Now, you can get really specific, or you can kind of lay it out in broad terms. But the first day here is a travel day. So you'll see I've listed, I have my flight, I have my rental car, and my hotel information, and then I just pasted a URL in here for some dinner options for that first night. The reason I like to paste the URL in there is I'm probably going to be accessing this from my mobile phone. I don't have to do the search. I can pull it up on Evernote, hit the URL, it loads the web page. You'll also notice these green highlights and these links right here. These are called note links. And a note link is just like it sounds, it's a link to another note. So if I click on this, it takes me to my flight information. And to create that note link is a simple right click. You say copy note link. You go wherever you'd like to paste the reference for that link and simply paste it in there. And it gives you the link. It's just a way to quickly reference other notes. So I've done that for my flight, my rental car, and my hotel. Again, I have it on my mobile device. It's all in one note, easily accessible. So day 2, I've kind of laid out some plans. I have a surfing lesson that I've booked. And here's the information back in my planning folder for quick reference. Dinner with some friends. I have the name and address and phone number of the bar where I'm meeting some friends for a drink, and my dinner reservation. Similar for day 3. And then on day 4, I'm taking a hike, and I read some information about this hike. Katie mentioned before about creating checklists. I'm a big fan of checklists. So on this hike, it's a long hike, so I want to remember to pack my lunch and some extra water and my camera. So we've done all our planning. We have all our travel documents. We have laid out all our itineraries. And the last thing is this folder we just created for receipts. I like to track my expenses, whether it's for personal travel or for business. I make a habit of never leaving a restaurant or any place with a paper receipt. I simply fill out the receipt. I take out my Evernote app, take a photo of the receipt. It goes right into Evernote. I put it in my receipts folder, and I'm done. I don't have to handle the paper, stick it in my pocket, scan it or file it in a folder later. The one other thing I wanted to mention too, in the travel documents that I forgot to mention, is the packing list. So I have a packing list that I've created, again, using the checklist feature. And as you pack these items, you can simply check them off. Now, I'm not going to have my computer open when I'm packing, but again, on your mobile device, I pull up my packing list. I can walk around and just tap the little checkbox as I pack my items. I also have a travel day checklist. Sometimes I get up very early, haven't had a cup of coffee. I want to make sure that I have all of these items with me before I leave the house, and another little checklist of things that I need to do at home before I leave home. Leave some of the lights on, set the security cameras, etc. So that's how I use Evernote for planning for trips and taking trips. I want to move on now to using Evernote for planning for visitors and activities. So most of us here live in the Bay Area. It's a beautiful area. You get lots of visitors, families, and friends. And inevitably you get the question, hey, I'm coming to the Bay Area. What should I do? Where should I eat? Can you make any recommendations? So the third or fourth time after answering that question and starting from scratch or trying to find the email that I sent to a friend 6 months ago that I can never find, I thought, this is a perfect application for Evernote. So I created a notebook called Activities Bay Area. And in this notebook, I have all kinds of information. Here's some information about Alcatraz with a link where you can book your tickets and some information about the history of Alcatraz, kid-friendly activities, restaurants. You'll notice these blue links are actually links to you right directly to the website that you can embed in Evernote very easily. I live in Marin, so I have lots of hikes and restaurants and places to see live music. And I also have in here, Josh is a burger connoisseur, and he was kind enough to share with me his favorite burger establishments. So he has his own note within Evernote that he just sent to me through Evernote's work chat, and I added it directly to my list. The last feature of Evernote that I want to just highlight real quickly is a table of contents. So in this notebook, I have a whole list of notes. And I'm going to just hold down the Option key and select a bunch of these notes. And as I select these notes, I'm going to, over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to create a table of contents. And all that does is it creates a list of all those notes with these note links. And these are all links that you can click to go directly to those notes. It's a good way to organize if you have a lot of notes within a notebook. It's a great way to help organize and easily access those notes. I took that table of contents, just sort of reformatted it a little bit. So I have all the San Francisco-based activities, Marin, East Bay, and Tahoe, and other areas. So hopefully that's given you some ideas about how you can use Evernote for planning and taking trips, and also for planning for visitors. I will be around after the presentation and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank and Katie. Did you all learn something new? Interesting ways of using Evernote? And for those of you that are interested in burgers, I will be happy to share my list with you as well. Now, I would like to invite up two of my Evernote team members to give us their tips about staying organized and productive during the holidays. First, Catherine Kohler is our engineering manager for Mac and Windows Desktop. In addition to managing technical teams and ensuring that they deliver high-quality products on time, Catherine is passionate about optimizing the software development process and is a certified Scrum Master. When not working, she can be found outside, chasing after her kids. Sining Chan is a senior technical writer here at Evernote who enjoys playing with pre-release product features and showing people how to use them. In the past 3 years at Evernote, she's written how-to articles, getting started guides, video scripts, blog posts, and much more. Before Evernote, Sining worked as a technical trainer, a freelance instructional designer, and ventured out into the low-tech world as the co-owner of a ceramic painting events business for a few years. Welcome, Catherine and Sining.
Hello. Tonight I'm going to share with you about how I try to make my holidays more productive and more stress-free. And I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed, but the theme of tonight actually assumes that holidays are often not productive and not stress-free. And let's face it, right? Holidays are a busy time of year. You have more activities, more events, and more socials. And I think there are basically two approaches or styles to how we survive and deal with holidays. Maybe you can ask yourself what your style is. If you're the type of person that likes to maximize activities, try to get as much done as possible during the holidays and try to avoid missing out on anything, you're probably a time optimizer. You value time and you recognize that time, you have limited time and you want to be as time efficient as possible. If you're the type of person that maximizes energy, you try to get as much rest as you can during the holidays in order to avoid burnout in the long run, then you're probably an energy optimizer. You value energy and you know that it's limited and you recognize that it's limited and you're going to do everything you can to be energy efficient. When it comes to sending out holiday photo cards, I'm more of the time optimizer type. So I'm really time efficient when it comes to sending out photo cards. By end of October, I would have gone through all the websites for holiday photo cards, and I know when the sales are and when they end. I also, at about early November, I've already chosen my favorite card design. And mid-November, I've chosen the location. I've sourced the family or friend who's going to be our photographer during Thanksgiving weekend. And I've already pulled up last year's contact list so I can start updating the addresses. By Thanksgiving weekend, we've got our photo shoot done. After Thanksgiving weekend, I've uploaded my favorite photo before the sale ends. And I've already, by early December, you can find our family gathered together over hot chocolate and candy canes, having kind of like a card signing party, and then we send them off. So I'm really efficient and concerned about time when it comes to holiday cards. Now, Thanksgiving dinner, my approach is a little bit different. I'm more interested in optimizing my energy during the Thanksgiving holidays. So I take more of a, what I would call an RIY, reheat it yourself Thanksgiving dinner, where, I mean, it's still good. And I found some, if you're interested, I can tell you a lot about food tonight. A lot of good choices for that kind of a thing, where it's pretty much pre-made. And my aim there is to maximize my energy and to get as much rest as I can. So I don't know what your style is, and no matter what your holiday style is, I'd like to give you some tips on how I try to survive the holidays and how I try to make them more productive and stress-free, and how I do that in Evernote as well. I've got 2 tips. So tip number 1 is what helps me optimize my time. Get organized, stay organized, tweak, then repeat. I create a lot of template notes in Evernote, and what's nice about them, and they've been mentioned today as well, is that they're reusable, so then you save time. And you'll get some of these in your goodie bag. For work, I have something, these are actual notes that I use, so I didn't create them just for this. One of them is a weekly project updates note. This is a running log of tasks, what I'm doing now, what I'm going to be doing next. And it's something that I share with my manager and with my team. So it kind of keeps me accountable, and the managers that I've shared this with love it because, you know, they know I'm on task. And then I've also devised this really cool bar that I use the highlighter. So I've created little measurements. I think it's divided into 10 with the 5 in the middle. And then I use the highlighter just to easily show status. And that kind of gives a quick view of where I'm at. Another template I use for work is for blog posts. How many of you are bloggers here? Okay, we have a few. And also maybe writers. You will know that a lot goes into a blog post or article that you write before you actually publish it. So a lot of things need to happen. And so I use checkboxes up front. And as you'll see, I didn't use tables. I used block format. It's actually for coding, but I'm just kind of using it as a workaround for a nice little block of text. And so you can check off the different phases before you actually publish a blog post. And you'll notice I also have a review log and creative asset specs for those who can't see. And then it'll check off how many of the reviewers have actually looked at it, and voila, we're done. So the top also has a status text that shows you kind of where it's at, so you can at a quick glance see where I'm at. I also have a personal template, and I use different things. Sometimes I use Evernote. This is a pre-holiday checklist. I find it really helpful to plan and organize before holidays. And not only what I'm going to do before, but as was mentioned before, what are some things I have to finish off at work? So work admin. And then it's not on here, but another thing I like to do is I have a little box for next steps. So when I come back to work and I've forgotten my password, I forgot what project I was working on, especially after a long holiday, then I know what I need to be doing right when I come back. An example of this is actual filled in version of my weekly project updates. So this is actually this week. I went to a seminar recently, so I'm going to be sharing with one of the teams about what I learned. And then I just kind of check off as we go along. The nice thing about having a running log is that you can copy and paste the last week's tasks and then change it up. My second tip is the way that I optimize energy. And this is to take off-peak holidays. What does that mean? Essentially, it's really just taking breaks. So you can take a break, daily. You can take it weekly. You can take it monthly. It doesn't really matter how often, but it's really good to just take stock of how you are doing. It doesn't matter whether it's social or it's something that you do kind of on your own, whether it's fun or peaceful. What I do in Evernote, at Evernote, is I try to force myself to have lunch. Usually eat it with friends, try to force myself to eat outside. I listen to audio podcasts during my commute. I make sure I go to Yoga Fridays. And I think it's the secret of thriving and surviving holidays because you don't burn yourself out before you get there. For those of you who are productivity geeks, which I would assume there are a lot here, and you don't really believe in taking breaks, think about it as scheduling downtime so that you can be more productive when you're done with that break. I've written a blog post on this about vacations, so you can take a look at that on our Evernote blog. Some of the ways I use Evernote to rest and recharge, I have an interest. I just have a stack of notebooks called Interests, and then it has lots of different notebooks underneath that are topics that I'm interested in. So visual design, tech, books and films, that I want to check out. I also have a blog notebook, and I'm an avid blogger and journaler, and I just love to use that notebook and my notes for a personal blog. I don't share it with anybody. It's where I can untangle my thoughts and kind of sort everything out in that blog post. So whether you blog or not, it's always good during these breaks, these off-peak holidays, not really tied to any season, where you can just kind of step back and ask some questions. And I have a template on this as well, but it's just a quick resync of where you're at. Am I thriving, just surviving? Are my relationships thriving or just surviving? How's my physical, emotional, and spiritual health? Am I growing, changing, learning new things? What gives me energy? Am I moving towards or away what I most care about? Am I becoming the kind of person that I really want to be? And so these are all ways that I think that are really important for how to have a more productive and stress-free holiday. And I've talked about Evernote today, but I use other tools as well. I use Trello, I use Google Inbox, at work here, we use Jireh for tracking our tickets. So a lot of times those end up as links that are in my Evernote notes. So try different tools and tweak it. As I said earlier, tweak your templates, tweak your tools. I used to think that it was counterproductive for me to spend so much time trying to find the best productivity tool. But I just read an article about how the most productive people actually are always changing their methods. So I felt justified in yet another one of my obsessions. So it's okay. Tweak and repeat often and try to find the best way. So no matter what your holiday style is, I hope that you found some of these thoughts and tips useful. And I wish you all an activity-filled and restful holiday season.
I'm going to leave that up there because that's good stuff. I'm going to be a good counterpoint to sinning because I'm fundamentally an incredibly lazy person. I have 2 adorable kids. My oldest one is 12. In the 12 years that I've had children, I've sent out Christmas cards 1 time. And I sent them, I think, 2 months late, and it was a collection of all of the leftover cards that we had sitting around the house with a couple of things scribbled in them, and that was it. Like, Happy New Year, right? So it is possible to be a productivity freak, but also be fundamentally lazy and disorganized, such as myself. Again, I'm Catherine Kohler. I'm the engineering manager for desktop, so I run the Windows and Mac desktop teams. If you have good feedback, love to hear it. If you have bad feedback, you can tell somebody on another team and it'll get back to me. Totally kidding. Anyway, I'm also a certified Scrum Master. I'm all about policy. I'm a big policy wonk. I can talk, or not, a process and policy wonk. I can talk that ad nauseum. So yes, holiday time can be crazy at work and at home. At work, I'm wrapping up projects. I'm trying to hire people. I'm setting quarterly goals. I'm doing this for both teams and individuals. I'm planning new projects and coordinating the Evernote Hackathon, which we're going to have in January. I have 10 reports. I have 2 teams. Half of them are global, so we have teams and people in Canada and Australia, all over the place. So there's a lot of things that I have to manage. I used to work at Ericsson. There I was director of engineering. I had 55 people. I had 8 teams. I had a lot of stuff. Everyone thought I was on top of my game, but I was really lazy, right? But I was organized. So as Sini mentioned, I have product development software, product management software that I use. I use Jireh. That's where all of our tickets are for our execution. But I have to use Evernote as a way to store everything outside of that, all of my people notes, all of my receipts, what tech are we investigating, what future projects do I want to do without freaking everybody out? Like, holy crap, we're going to work on that. Are you kidding me? No, I keep that private. I keep that in Evernote. And it's a way of tracking meetings. I can take pictures of the whiteboard. It's searchable. Thank you for showing that. It's incredible, right? Like, it is this constant, very useful tool and a repository for everything that comes into my head. It goes into Evernote. And then that way, being fundamentally lazy, I can set it and I can forget it. Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I hold my notes for one-on-ones, project risks, et cetera. Like, everything goes in there. There's just the randomest stuff in there. So Evernote gives me superpowers and makes me effortlessly prepared despite my tendencies. I also do this at home, right? We have travel, we have house projects, menus, again, Christmas cards. I guess I should add that to the list. Failing as a parent. Not really, I don't really care. And I also use this, to track everything. I even, for my one-on-ones with my husband, this is how you're doing, this is how I would like for you to perform next year. Bring in the children, have a 360 review, talk about that, right? These are your goals. And it's also a very socially acceptable way of nagging my husband, right? I can send him lists through Evernote, and it'll just be ding, right? Up pops the grocery list, which is implied, like you need to do shopping before you come home. And then I put a little ASCII smiley face at the end, so it makes it okay, right? So these are ways that you can use Evernote at home and at work. Store everything. Hide the crazy from people. Have a very nice veneer that lets everybody knows you're in control and you know what's happening, and then go back to Evernote and be like, holy, yeah, we're having a fight. Oh, I knew I was right. I said the right thing. And then share it with your husband. Like, on this day, I took this note that you said this. Thank you. Yes. These are great life hacks, by the way. This is something that all of you women should take home and all of you men should watch out for. So let's see. Right, so all of this information, you can feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. Evernote is a way of organizing it, getting it in there, forgetting about it. And then from a project management perspective, what I do with my engineering teams, there's a sea of information. What do we need to tackle and when? Let's keep it small, let's keep it digestible. Don't worry about it until you have to worry about it. Set reminders for yourself, bring them forward. It's honestly a superpower. And I'll wrap up with, holiday greetings and all this other stuff, but an insight into Evernote, it's kind of a bummer working with a lot of really organized people because they all have this tool at their fingertips. So, my superpower of like looking flawless and not looking flawless, but behaving flawlessly and remembering everything, everybody here does that already. So, yeah. All right. Anyway, happy holidays, and thank you guys very much for your time.
Looking and behaving flawlessly. That's what we're all about here at Evernote. So I would like to thank all of our speakers, both Frank and Katie at the beginning and Catherine and Seening. Can we have a round of applause for all of them? So I'd like to invite all of you up for some Q&A. Do any of you have questions out in the audience for any of our panelists? If you don't, start thinking of them and I'll ask a few of my own. So I'm curious, what is one thing that you will stop doing moving into 2017? There are a lot of things that we want to add to our plates as productivity people, but sometimes there are things that we need to stop doing. What's yours?
One of the things that I've been working on this year is not touching paper more than once. So I've got an Evernote Scan Snap scanner on my desk. I've got the scannable app on my phone. I told you about the receipts. I'd never, other than signing the receipts, I never touch them. I just take a photograph of them. So it's really digitizing everything, putting it in Evernote and organizing it in a way so I don't have a desktop full of papers. It reminds me when it needs attention, and I don't have to buy any file folders and label them and deal with any of that mess.
I will stop, and now everyone's going to hold me to it. I will stop bypassing my Friday afternoon look through and sort GTD style weekly review.
This one's a tough one. I would say I'm going to stop putting things in Evernote that I don't have to deal with, period, right? Why even store it in there? It's just cruft, and you come back to it and you feel guilty, and then there's this shame spiral. So for sure, I would... OMG, yeah, I talk like a 14-year-old, but I'm definitely going to stop doing that. It's just pointless. It's a waste of pixels.
Save the pixels.
For me, it's similar. I'm going to stop taking photos of random things and start thinking a little bit more about what I'm going to take so that I also don't stuff up all my apps and my phone so that I can have more space.
What's your favorite end-of-year tip? Like if you had to choose just one, end-of-year tip that you can use Evernote for. It's a stumper. I'll share mine. Would you like to hear it? You're going to hear it anyway, so just get ready. So one thing I like to do every year is I like to go through all of my bills, and I look for things that are recurring, and I make a little list of Evernote and how much I spend on them each month. And then I have a little homework day where I call every single one of those recurring bills, and I try to get a better deal on them. And without fail, every year this ends up saving me money. And I just do it once a year. It's kind of a fun thing for me to do. I love saving money, and this is an easy way to organize all of that in Evernote. And I just keep a running log of this each year. This is how much I paid before the call, and this is how much I paid after the call. So try this with your cable company, with your cell phone company, with your insurance company. This is not something that they're going to voluntarily do for you. Hey, would you like to pay less? No. You call them, and then you say, I'm thinking of switching to somebody else. What can you do for me? And oftentimes, they'll give you a better deal. And I just keep that list in Evernote. So that's one thing I like to do at the end of each year.
So I will add to that I am perhaps overly compulsive, but when I have my conversation with Comcast every time my contract comes up, they'll give you a great deal for 6 months, and then then the rates go up, and they forget. They think, people are going to be lazy, and they'll forget about it. I've written down the dates, the conversations, so anybody on the other end, they have software, they record the conversations. I've got the reminder, so the day after my cable rates go up, I'm on the phone with them, and I say, no, you told me this on this date. So I'm like you, I'm on top of that, and they're not going to pull anything on me.
Okay, so I've recently learned that you can search your email client for the word unsubscribe, and it'll pull up every single newsletter that you are subscribing to, whether you actually did or not. But I'm going to add to that, because I have a lot of stuff emailed into Evernote or clipped in. I'll do the same in Evernote. So I compare those two side by side. The unsubscribed that are in Evernote, I probably want to keep those. The ones that are in the email client that are not in Evernote, bye-bye.
I'm going to get my kids on Evernote so I can nag them remotely as well.
This is my new favorite use of Evernote,
Oh,
nagging
it's
people.
awesome.
I'm going to have to live by this.
I didn't do it. Evernote did it. It just sent you the list. Yeah, so honestly, I'm going to get them on there. That'd be great.
I'm going to use, I use iPhone, and I'm going to start using iMessage to share my Evernote notes so that more my friends can start using it, because they don't.
So I think we have a couple questions from the audience. Please stand up so we
Hello?
can see you.
Hi,
Thanks.
my name is Courtney. My question is about the travel itinerary. I know there's a way to link certain websites, but is there a way to map things? Like, say you're on a business trip and you want to map like your hotel, the conference center, like a restaurant, maybe an after party. Is there a way to do that so you can see it?
Yeah, great question. You can, if beforehand I find it easiest to do on the desktop, you can copy the URL for that address and store it in Evernote. Good question.
So if you were to do a search in like Google Maps, for instance, just grab the link from the search and then just paste that directly into the Evernote note. Then it's one-click access to that spot.
For maps, I also just put the directions from where to where, and then I do a screenshot of the entire route so that I can see it with all the directions on the side, and then I just add that to a note so that I don't need internet connection and I can see a quick snapshot of that map.
So one of the things I liked a lot
We can't see you. Would you mind standing up, please?
Sure. So one of the things I liked a lot was the table of contents you could generate automatically, and then the progress bars. But one thing I didn't quite like is that you had to do it manually each time. Is there a way to do that dynamically, where the table of contents updates, or the taskbar is some way, you have X number of notes, and each one's marked something happens?
Not currently, but we have people in charge of product who are here and listening, so perhaps coming soon to an Evernote near you.
That is a brilliant idea. Yes, thank you. No promise on timeline.
Hello.
So this question's for the entire panel. What is the newest feature or functionality that you have found in Evernote that you would think the entire group would find very useful, particularly in this holiday season?
Yeah, what's your favorite, most useful Evernote feature?
I'm going to bump up Google Drive integration, which is pretty awesome because a lot of people have their stuff stored in Google Drive, and now we have rich links which you can unfurl and open and drill into. And that's really good for budgeting and really good for tracking finance because Evernote tables aren't really, built for that kind of thing. So Google Drive integration is pretty awesome.
I've been using Siri's speech to text a lot for creating notes. I'm just sick of typing on a little phone, and so I find it a lot easier just to, on my keyboard, just to click the audio, and I just start creating my notes in Evernote, and I could do a brain dump that way.
They stole both of mine. I'm going to say the ScanSnap scanner. We've taken 2 4-drawer file cabinets worth of past year's papers, my husband just stood there open mouthed like, wait, everything from 2007 is gone? It's in there? That's awesome. We use that scanner every day. So I've created storage notes of every single year. The notes within there look exactly like my manila folders would have looked in the old file cabinet that is now at the school. We donated it.
I don't know that this is necessarily new, but I use a to-do list app called Swipes. It has a desktop and a mobile app. It has a nice Evernote integration, so I can tag a note with the word Swipes, and it automatically puts it in my to-do list, and then I move it up and down from there.
Yeah, my favorite new feature is if you use iOS 10, there's a really awesome widget that you can add to your home screen, and super handy one-click access to your most frequently used Evernote notes, Create Notes, etc. Also available on Android, but pretty new for iOS. So check it out if you haven't already. Next question.
Hi. So it's more sort of a feature request. If we can have some kind of a if this, then that kind of native integration, do you plan to support something like that? I mean, if I'm going from place X to Y, and it could record the miles onto an Evernote note or something like that.
So feature request for some sort of logic-based interaction with Evernote notes?
Basically, if a certain event occurs, it logs something that I wanted to. So more sort of native to Evernote than a third party.
Conditional statements, effectively.
Yeah.
Take it under advisement. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's similar. Like you can use if this, then that currently with other apps to make things automatically happen in Evernote, but we'll take it under advisement. Thank you for the idea.
Hi, my name is John, and I've been a long time not fan of Microsoft. I've been a fan of Evernote since 2008. I'm a little worried about OneNote, and I'm wondering how you guys are going to safeguard yourselves.
Would you like to take that one?
The thing we have on our side that OneNote doesn't is we have a lot of brand loyalty. A lot of people hate the evil empire. I used to work for the evil empire, so I can call it that. There are a lot of compelling things that OneNote has. There are a lot of compelling things that Evernote has, and we're going to try to bridge the gap there. I don't know, what else would you say?
I mean, I would say what we have is you.
Yeah.
I mean, people like you are what make us do this thing. We're not trying to do anything other than Evernote and make Evernote awesome for you. We're not trying to sell you ancillary services. We're not trying to sell you an Office suite. We're not trying to sell you an email client or a server. This is the thing that we make. We make it for you. We listen to you and take your feedback, and we make this thing awesome. So above all the features and the functions, what we have are people that care. And I don't think that's going anywhere. Do you? Next question.
Hi. So my question is, is there a way to sync content from other apps, say on your mobile device, to Evernote? For example, I have a voice recording app, so when I'm talking to my attorneys and having a consultation, I don't have to worry about scribbling notes and writing down specific details right there on the spot because my handwriting is not quite fast enough. So it'd be useful if I could sync those voice recordings to Evernote so later I can revisit them and type in my notes at the same time while listening to that voice call recorded.
Evernote does currently support voice recording. So that example, you could do that fundamentally within Evernote. For other importing things, obviously clipping and dragging and drop and moving things in like that. Exporting out of OneNote and into Evernote is something that you can do on Windows, but not Mac currently because, not to get too boringly technical about it, when Microsoft for Mac doesn't really play nice with anything else, right? So we'd have to scrape their content and we'd end up with gobbledygook. So there are different ways of importing. If there's something that you don't think has an importer, like let us know. But for the most part, you can drag and drop and you can do your recordings internally. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question. Please stand up so we can see you.
Oh, no, never mind.
Okay.
Hi, love chat. One problem, not searchable.
You're referring to work chat.
Yeah, work chat. Would love it if it was searchable.
That is on the roadmap. Yeah, fixing work chat is definitely on the roadmap. Yeah.
We have a question about if Evernote has any integrations with Amazon Echo or Alexa.
Not currently, but perhaps coming soon to an Evernote near you. There's a lot of thought and talk around integrating Evernote with many different things, perhaps even those that you'd mentioned. I see we have a question way in the back.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm a graduate student at UC Davis. I use Evernote for everything, and without it, I would have already failed out of my PhD program. I love you
Glad
guys
we could be of service.
so much, but now that I want a job someday, I'm using your business card, scanner much more frequently. Why can't I put 2 images in one note? People have double-sided business cards. Why can't I write useful notes like, this person was really mean, but I think they might give me an internship? It won't let me edit them, not on desktop, not online, not in the app, and it makes me want to cry. Also, what happened to penultimate?
So these are good questions. Let me take them in order. So the first question, First question, business card scanning. That is something we've heard, wanting to do 2 sides of the business card. Right now, you can actually go into the business card note that's been captured and add notes to it. So you can say, I met this person at XYZ spot. This is what we talked about. This is the job that they might be offering me or that I'd like to pursue. So you can do that right now. Penultimate. Penultimate still exists. Almost all of the functionality of Penultimate, handwriting, searchability, etc., has been folded into core Evernote. So the need for having Penultimate on its own has diminished. Although we still offer it to you, you'll see a lot more of those features built into core Evernote.
And don't take an internship from someone who's mean.
Yeah, that's not going to turn out well for you, generally speaking. Next question.
I'm looking for interns.
Hi, my name is Chris. I just have a. You want me to hold it this way? Yeah. Just a quick question. I'm relatively new to Evernote, like a year. What's the pro tip on minimizing merge conflicts and what causes them? Because I have Mac and my iPad and a PC and my iPhone, and these pop up and I don't really know what's going on.
If you care to.
Yes, we are actively working on our merge conflict issues. It is for what's that?
It's not you, it's us.
It's not you, it's us, and it's something that we're owning and we're really driving toward solving. It's probably not going to be 0, but we're really actively driving toward that. Yeah.
I have had a similar problem, and I've just learned now, because I have several different devices, I have to be very careful to make sure I sync up before I go into the next one, and on and on. And it's just a process now that I've gotten used to doing.
Yeah, one thing to note, it's not instantaneous sync as soon as you do something. It waits a little bit before it syncs. So I would suggest just making sure you're done on one device before you start picking up your work and continuing on another device. It's amazing. You would amaze me if you have multiple devices and you're doing things on all of them at the same time. But we're not yet in the matrix completely. So I would suggest just finishing on one, moving to the other, and you'll avoid a lot of conflicts that way.
Hi there. A few quick questions. One is, any advice versus notebooks versus tags? I started off using lots of notebooks, and then I threw them. Basically, I use one notebook and I use a zillion tags. Second thing is, I'm curious, if you, on the Moleskine, does it really matter if it's the Evernote versus the not? And I suppose I could test that, but I'm here and I'll ask you.
Mm-hmm.
And the third is, ScanSnap is the app that essentially replicates the camera. And I'm curious to know if, is that
Scannable.
Right. So I'm curious, I just like using the camera. I once looked at one of the apps that on your website everybody was pushing, and when I looked at the privacy policy, it made me back away from it because I realized they can sell any of my information to anybody. Is there really a downside just to using the camera?
Okay, so let's take these questions. Actually, let's do them in reverse order. Just keep things interesting. Scannable is made by Evernote. That is a tool that you can download from the iOS App Store. It's for iOS only currently. It lets you scan without even actually clicking, automatically paper into Evernote.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
I have a separate app that I bought called FastEver. They have FastEver Note and FastEver Snap, and it's simply an app that's a camera that's automatically linked to my notebook. You can open the Evernote app and then open the camera. That's 2 steps. I like to keep it really simple in 1 step, and I default by having everything go into an inbox in Evernote, so that's one of the apps
Yeah, you have options for how you put content into Evernote. You can use Evernote itself. You can use Scannable, which is made by us. If you just like using that for scanning, that's perfectly fine. That has the same privacy policies as core Evernote, so there's an option there. You can just use your camera, like the camera that's built into your phone, the camera app, and then bring that content into Evernote. It's just an extra step. So completely up to you. The third-party apps, I think, are what you're referring to. Those have their own policies and conditions, terms, because they're made by companies other than Evernote. They integrate with Evernote, which is great, but as with anything that you sign up for or use, you want to check what the security and privacy policies are before you start putting your stuff into it. Okay, I think what was your middle question? Moleskin. So Katie, you use the Moleskin notebooks. Would you like to talk about them for a sec?
There really isn't a difference as I understand it, except for the tags that you can use from the back of the notebook that will direct the notes specifically to where you want them and give you reminders and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so if you are a hyper organizer and you like tags and notebooks and you want pages as you capture them to automatically go into notebooks, that is the main difference with using the Moleskin notebook.
You're the tag guy, right? You need that.
You can, yeah, so it's up to you. These are all options. We get to choose what's right for each of us, but that's the core difference. Now the perennial notebooks versus tags question. I'll leave this to our Evernote certified consultants to answer.
So we had this conversation earlier tonight, and I think it's always interesting. I use very few tags. I'm a notebook guy. What I always tell people is it doesn't matter. Get the information into Evernote, and then you can figure out what works best for you. I had a point where I thought, oh, this tag seems interesting. I started to go that way and then abandoned it and went back to notebooks. So the answer in my mind is it depends on how your brain works.
I use tags primarily for bills that are paid and archived information. I had a client that was audited, and I figured out that we needed to go back through and tag. It was a sales tax audit, so we had to tag his invoices from a particular company. So that's handy. That way I could look up unnamed company and boom, all the invoices were there. I personally use a lot of different notebooks, and I think that changes over time quite a bit as well. So that's the beauty of it. You can do however you want.
Yeah. And if you're curious for more ideas about using notebooks and tags, there are resources on our Help and Learning Center. Many how-to guides written on using notebooks, using tags, some written by yours truly, on different ways you can use notebooks and tags and use them together. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Oftentimes, it's most powerful when you combine them. So we have time for a couple more questions. Nicely done.
Okay. Hi. One of the questions I kind of have is I've had conversations with my friends regarding, are you sure you want to put all your stuff in one spot? As I've taken things off of other apps after I've lost information and moved them over to Evernote, they challenged me with saying, well, now you're just putting them into one spot. So what's your kind of answer to people who have that concern?
It's a really good and a fair question. What I say, and maybe each of you can chime in with what you might say, what I like about Evernote, beyond the fact that I work here, I really like that it's in Evernote's servers. It's also on my computer. So even if, for whatever reason, Evernote were to go down or go away or whatever, I still have a local copy of all of my stuff. If I were to ever want to, tears, leave Evernote, I can always export all of those things and move them to wherever I choose. So there's a lot of flexibility and power in storing things in Evernote that maybe you don't have if you store things solely in a cloud-based spot. You have the best of both worlds, to me, when you use something like Evernote.
Well, I agree, and I'd also add to that, going back to the earlier question about year-end things, it's a good time to clean out Evernote, create an archive notebook, export it, and back it up. So you can set a reminder, do that quarterly, annually, semi-annually, but that way you have a backup of all your notes.
I'm very much into integrating apps, so this sounds wrong, but I don't put everything in Evernote. All my photos and everything, I put it in other repositories, and then it's just a link from Evernote. So I can find everything from Evernote because I can just link it to the other places where I put everything else.
Yeah, I think there's a misnomer that people think that we here at Evernote think you should put every possible thing under the sun. in Evernote, and it's really not the best place for certain types of things like media files. I would personally never build my personal photo library in Evernote or store audio files or videos that weren't really connected to a project or something that I'm working on. There are other tools that are better suited to specific things, and I think it's important for each person to find the spot that fits for each of the things that they're doing or the types of things that they're storing or working on. So it doesn't have to be all one. It just has to make sense to you.
I have two things. I was going to comment on you probably have servers in multiple locations, right? So if there was something that happened here, you've got a copy in, Las Vegas or something.
Yes, not Las Vegas, but something. Yeah.
I just figured I'd give a boost to Las Vegas. I wanted to ask about the voice. You said voice is integrated with Evernote, and maybe everybody here knows that, but I have never used voice in Evernote, so I'd like just a little brief introduction.
So while she's looking it up, I go to lots of conventions and meetings, so I take, most of my notes are partially audio of what the speaker is saying, photos maybe of their slide deck, my personal notes, maybe pictures of something else I've got. But she's recording me right now, so when she closes this note and we're all really, really quiet,
yeah, so basically, yeah, you can record audio. It's not voice to text, it's audio recording. And while you're doing audio recording, you can type notes. This is often, when I attend a class or a conference, super useful, so I can record and enter text. And when the whole thing is over, I often get a copy of their keynote or PowerPoint slides or PDF that's a handout and put those in that same note too. So after I've attended something, I have this nice comprehensive collection of everything from that event. 2 more questions and then we'll wrap up.
Hi, so I believe that there are times when we really need to encrypt our data. What does Evernote, or shall I say, does Evernote have any, shall I say, stages of going through any encryptions?
So encryption in Evernote. Catherine, do you mind?
Yeah, you can select a block of text within a note, and you can encrypt that block. But encryption is something that we definitely want to keep improving on. Note level encryption would be great. Notebook level encryption would be great. But right now, you can encrypt blocks of text within given notes.
Oh, so you're saying that you can encrypt the notes, like if you were going to link your notes to someone and send it to other people?
Yeah, and you didn't want them to see something embarrassing down at the bottom, and you can just lock that bit, or you can, yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more question.
Thanks. It may be a good question to end on, if that. There's a lot of postings of questions on the Evernote blog and the user community of a lot of features that are not yet available on either the desktop or iOS. What are some of the features that you're itching to see made available yourselves that may be coming up?
That's a nice one to end on. What's your #1 wish list feature?
I mentioned before that I like to do speech to text. I would love it if that audio recording, if I could just record what she said and then it'll transcribe it for me. And yeah, that would be great.
You don't have anything? We do a lot of video, so we would love to have some sort of video integration for us.
I think mine would, similar to the Google Drive integration, would be integration for Dropbox.
Good. Catherine?
I had so many I had to process. So for the Windows app, really, really supporting touch, making that something that we do really, really well. Right now, we don't do it so well, and it's embarrassing. So.
Getting there.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to our panel for taking some time to answer our questions. All right. Before I send you off for the evening, I'd like to invite all of you to get more involved with Evernote. Lots of ways you can do it. Connect with us online. We're really active on social media, all the major platforms. In addition, we love hearing feature requests and feedback on the product. The best possible spot for you to do that is in the discussion forums that are on our website. The product managers actually go in there, they actually read and respond to people. The more you talk about what you're looking for from Evernote, the more we can build the Evernote that you want. So don't sit there in your office and say, I would love it if Evernote did this. Let us know. We won't hear about it unless you tell us. So please do. If you are interested in being really active in the Evernote community, you want to talk to your friends, maybe your social groups about Evernote, consider becoming a community leader, which is an evangelist who likes talking about Evernote. We equip you with tools to host events like these, online and offline. Talk to Charlotte. Charlotte, would you stand up? If you're interested in becoming a community leader, she can tell you much more about it. If you are interested in becoming a certified consultant like these folks, come talk to me or talk to them. We can tell you all about how you can do that. If you would like to become part of Evernote team, send an email to recruiting@Evernote or go on our website, check out our careers. There are lots of positions that are open. We are looking for awesome people. If you think you are awesome and you would like to join our team, talk to us. We'd be happy to have you. All right, with that, I will close for the evening. Sharing templates from tonight. Would you like to receive some of the things that we saw tonight? Okay, so next week, after we have cleaned everything up and gave everything a little bit of polish, we will send you, since you registered, we have your email address, we will send you a recap from tonight, along with templates and tools that you can use to do all the stuff that you just learned. Sound good? All right, if you had a good time tonight, please go on social media, tweet at Evernote, #Evernote Community. We would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for coming out. Have a great night.